Thank you. I was just watching that TED Talk, which was one of the first ones I ever watched, and it was extraordinary. And it is extraordinary to have the opportunity to be in front of you and share some of my experiences as well. About 6 years ago, I was in a board meeting as a clinical director of a hospital. And around the board table, there were about 12 people. Half of us were women. And for some reason, a discussion started. The discussion turned into an argument, and I see some people responding here. So this turned into an argument, and all of a sudden it really turned into a cat fight, where only the women were fighting. The men in the boardroom were very quiet, dead quiet. I think they wanted to be invisible if they could. Bad feelings going around. We didn't resolve anything. The meeting took like an hour and a half. And then after this meeting, the lead lawyer, who also happened to be a woman, and I started trying to figure out what had happened. So she said, well, Dr. Gaby, I think the problem is we're all alphas. And this is why we were having this fight. And I said, well, you and I have never fought this way, have we? She said, no, we haven't. I said, why do you think that is? I respect you, she said. And I respected her too. The thing is, what happened in that boardroom that made us lose it in some shape or form? So that nothing was done, nothing was resolved, and everybody left with a bad feeling in their mouth. Nothing was really accomplished by this. So let me share with you some of these lessons learned. I think both men and women can have amazing leadership qualities. And in terms of women, I call the great female leaders, I call them alpha fees. So great leaders will tend to do what's best for the group. They will tend to look at the greater good. They will also tend to have a vision and try to inspire other people to do the right thing beyond their own personal gain. They will also be committed toward the benefit of all and not just look into their own survival in some shape or form. Now you probably guessed what I'm going to be speaking about, which is also there's another group of women who may not be as positive. And I call that group alpha phoebes. What happens in this group is there's this fight for power, but there's also a lot of emotional instability at times, and I think this is part of what scares everybody around. So that emotional intensity is very difficult to handle within the boardroom and beyond. And in our case, we were really the leaders of a hospital. The buck ends with us, meaning if we're not okay to try to figure out what we can do within the organization, how is it that we're going to be able to do our job, a great job with people who need our help? So it's one of the main reasons why I thought it was a great opportunity to try to help both men and women handle leadership in women so that we can also become great leaders as we polish some of those negative features. So some of that instability that I've seen is some of it is emotional, and some of it is a pattern of behavior that can be changed over time. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss this with you. The first point I want to make today is, are alphas born or made? I get this question all the time. Are we born this way? Or how is it that we become leaders within wherever it is that we are? And I have a question for you. For those of you who have kids, do you think they're all the same? Or have you found that some of them tend to have some leadership qualities since they were very young? Could you also tell their personalities? Is there anything in particular that some of them like to do better than other things? Now, oftentimes, we try to help people develop some of the qualities that we don't have and we believe that it would be good for people to have. However, it's great to work through the strengths, and while we can combine those strengths with the passion that we bring in to our work, to our studies, and to everything that we do, then we're going to be a lot better off. So the first point is, yes, definitely. There's this genetic predisposition that we have in everybody, and those of us who may have had great experiences will model with that experience, and those of us who may have had challenging experiences may repeat them over and over and over again. In my case, I attended an all-girls school, starting from age 4 till age 17. So imagine an all-girls school, having a lot of this practice, playing in the sandbox. My school became co-ed while I was in 4th grade. So by then, we were all within our pecking order. We already knew who was doing what. And academically, the girls were really taken over in terms of that area. So much so, as well, that we were very used to playing different roles in everything that we did. So we did a lot of stage presentations, and oftentimes we had to play either female or male roles. In my case, when I was about 17, we had to present in front of a whole assembly, and my peers selected me to play Macbeth. Not Lady Macbeth, Macbeth. Although there were some boys within our group, it was interesting that we didn't think of that presentation as a part of a gender issue, but as a part of our ability to give a presentation. So what I've seen in very effective female leaders is that leadership comes from within. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. Some of the attributes that we have for both male and female leaders are very similar. And the best leaders in general will be always those who look at the greater good, those who really bring in great ways of inspiring other people to follow them will always prevail. So that's the first point that I feel is important. The second point is that alphas lead the pack. I was on another board meeting years ago. I was very young, selected by my association, and only about 10% of us were women on this board. One of the first things that I found out was that some of the women would come around so that we would vote on issues as a front. And I was very surprised about that, just because I was raised as a pretty independent thinker. So I was like, what? You want me to vote A? But how about B? What if B is a better choice? And, they insisted that we had to do this, so I thought it was interesting. But then the vote time came to play, and I happened to not vote with the rest of the front. So some of the women came to me, they were not happy, and they reprimanded me for not being with the rest. Now, the interesting thing about this kind of thinking, which is very prevalent in politics, unfortunately, is that the more that people start trying to vote in fronts without really voting for a good cause or for something that they truly believe in, then that lack of trust, that inability to create better relationships comes up to play. So interestingly, the person who chaired this board at the time, I realized that I was really trying to vote independently on the things that I thought were important for the whole group. So he approached me and once said, Gaby, I love it when you support what I present to the board. And I hate it when you don't agree with me. Because it doesn't matter that I'm the president, that I'm the chairperson, you will always try to figure out and vote with your heart and with your brain. Interestingly also, he later invited me to work with him and invited me to other opportunities. So the interesting thing that we sometimes miss is that people really do appreciate our honesty, our trustworthiness, and our willingness to try to do the right thing. So that's the second point I wanted to make. The third point I want to make is that alphas earn their stripes. I was on another debate panel where the situation with the issue about life-work balance came up. And of course, it's very hard for many women at work to make sure that we can juggle it all. It is extremely hard. But at the same time, if we want to be in leadership positions, it really does become harder when we want that leadership position and we want that promotion, but we're not willing to bring in the sweat that takes to be in that position. So some of the women on the panel didn't like it when I said this, just because some of them wanted to either leave early or not miss some of their kids' games, and I definitely understand that. I've been there too. But I can't have it all in that respect. So it would be very important for me to try to see how can I be fair with getting that promotion if I deserve it, but at the same time not take advantage of the situation if it's unfair for other people. And this is something that happened to me when I was a researcher during my time at the National Institutes of Health. At the time, I had a family, and I really had to try to see how I could juggle it all. And some of the people who were with me, there as researchers as well, were working very many more hours than I was. Honestly, I thought it was fair for them to take some of those promotions over me. And some people wondered about how I could have been so easygoing about it when, I could have deserved that promotion as well. Well, they were working harder than me. And I respected how they were bringing all their time, effort, and productivity into, moving ahead as they wanted to. When I was 22 years old, I was between the 4th and 5th year of medical school of a 6-year program. And I got pregnant. My boyfriend and I had been dating for a few months, and it really came as a surprise. But what came as a more surprise was that people would approach me and go like, you can't have a career and have a family. You can't have a baby. Now, maybe with my upbringing and everything, I was like, why not? Why can't I have a career, a baby, and a family? Now, interestingly enough, my husband and I had been good buddies at the time, boyfriend, had been good buddies since the beginning of med school. We had actually met during the first day of med school. So although we were transitioning from the 3rd to the 4th year, we had been together for quite a while. We studied as much as we could. We actually got married during a weekend where we had no exams. We worked part-time, and I delivered a gorgeous daughter. Now, after that, as we were continuing to do all this, there was a problem during the delivery. So our daughter was born, had paralysis, so she needed physical therapy 3 times a week the first year of life. We continued to study, we continued to take her to therapy, we continued to try to do it all as well as we could. And then at 23, I was breastfeeding, I was also using birth control, and I got pregnant again.
Oh my gosh.
Now I was in shock because I knew it was hard. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would have been. So, we looked, my husband and I, let's move on, let's continue, let's have it all. And by 24, we both graduated with a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old, graduating with honors.
Wow.
Now, what's interesting about this? Of course, when people said to me that it wasn't possible, and I was like, why not? Sometimes it's really not the question that people have for us, but if we don't trust that we are the ones who can make things happen for ourselves, we're the ones who are going to block certain opportunities that are right in front of us because it's hard, because we don't think it's possible, or maybe because no one else has done it around us. However, at the same time, it's such an amazing opportunity to realize that what alphas really do is to take care of people. We take care of our families, we take care of the people that we serve, we take care of our clients, and we take care of pets, of the earth, and everything else that is important for us. So, business as important as it is, unless we really take care of the people, there's nothing else for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.